Hey there, Start here. I'm going to do one more level 99 clear with no no bonus mods or anything like that. And you know, I've worked it down to a pretty nice little budget team and budget clear for you guys here. And yeah, so hopefully this will help you guys that might still be struggling with it. Maybe once you hit echelon 5, things get a little bit tricky and you're wondering how to work around it. So hopefully this team and this strategy will help you guys through it. So let's go ahead and get right to it. No bonus mods, we can skip that. So here's the team that we're going to be using. You might notice right away my EX+3 Paladin Sylvie, and you might be thinking, oh dear, that you can't call this a budget video with an EX+3 Sylvie. Don't worry, I'm not using her in any way that would make an EX+3 Sylvie required here. An EX+1 Sylvie is totally fine, and I'm going to use her just like an EX+1 Sylvie. I'm not even going to use her STMR. I'm not going to use her LB until like turn 5, which, you know, an EX+1 Sylvie should definitely be able to get her LB up by turn 5. Shouldn't be a problem. So, and I want to point out that the new banner that they're running, the 28,000 lapis step up banner that has Paladin Sylvie and Esther on it. I didn't realize before, but it is an incredibly good deal for people that do not have Paladin Sylvie. Because if you do that, if you do all 6 steps on it, 28,000 lapis for 6 steps, you get enough pity tickets to pity a Paladin Sylvie, and enough summon coins to then get the shards to get her to EX+1. So for 28,000 lapis, you're guaranteed to get an EX+1 Sylvie. Plus you get the ticket for the original armory, which has some really great gear. I cannot recommend that enough. If you're a newer player that does not have Paladin Sylvie, and you know you've got plenty of story you can grind out to get 20, go do the story, grind out 28,000 lapis, you know, do it as soon as possible. Go pull on that banner, get yourself your Paladin Sylvie to EX+1. You will not be sorry that you did so. She is such an amazing unit, such an incredible unit, and she pairs very well with Esther. Of course, they've got the synergy together, and so of course I love, you know, they're my girls. I love using them to clear out everything, but Paladin Sylvie is the real prize on that banner. Such a great unit. All right, she can turn your EX0s into EX heroes, as we will show here with my EX0 Esther. Just an amazing support unit. So if you don't have a Paladin Sylvie, do that step up and get yourself an EX+1 Paladin Sylvie. You will not regret it, trust me. All right, but I digress. So here's the team. We got Paladin Sylvie. EX+1 is perfectly fine, does not need to be EX+3. Got me EX0 Esther. All right, primary DPS there. We've got Runda, he's the tank. We've got Ling. Ling also does not need to be EX+3. An EX+1 Ling is perfectly fine. And we've got Golbez. I'm bringing my EX+1 budget Golbez to this one. And then you see we've got Avalanche Jessie there. She's a 7-star unit, very easily acquired. She is there for her limit burst, because it is a very reliable way to dispel the boss's barrier that it puts up every turn. And it does a perfect dispel, meaning that it gets rid of all the boss's buffs, but leaves all of your debuffs in place. So it leaves all the imperils and breaks and everything like that, and it just gets rid of all the boss's buffs, including that barrier. And it's a pretty thick barrier. It's like a 1 billion HP barrier, so you definitely want to get rid of it when you're going in to do actual damage to the boss. So that's literally the only reason she's on the team, is to do that. All right, so she's a nice cheap budget way to get rid of that. You know, you've probably seen a lot of clears out there with people using like Kaito to get rid of the barrier, like basically on demand, and this is just a nice cheap way to do that for you. All right, so let's talk about the gear real quick before we get in there. All right, Sylvie is going to be passive provoking. So I'm not going to assume you have the Dancer's Diadem of Will. So we're doing the old fashioned way with the Durandal, Moogle Charm, Tulian's Gauntlet combo. Those 3 items right there make her 100% passive provoke. Otherwise, just anything that kind of bulks her up, you know, give her HP, defense, spirit, because she is going to be taking a bit of damage from the fixed attacks. So that's all this materia is just anything to bulk her up. Her mostly you want to focus on her defense, only because she hits spirit very, very easily, especially because her vision card has a lot of spirit on it and not a lot of defense. So in the materia slots, try to focus on the defense and HP as opposed to the spirit and HP. Of course, if you have her EX1, you're going to have her vision card. You can also pick up her vision card in the Perma VC Select shop. I highly recommend picking up more than one. If you've got an EX+1 Sylvie, still go get another one from the shop because they're great. Esther here, she's got her great sword. If you don't want to waste an STMR Moogle on an Esther, that's perfectly fine. Just give her a very, any strong two-handed great sword that you might have in your inventory, and that will do just fine on her. Mask of Azura is for the human killer. Guy's belt also has 75% human killer on it. Storm Bunny jacket, just because it's her jacket, gotta love it. Does have machine killer on it as well to help her top that up. Tyvis's gauntlet is there for the to top up her LB damage. Indestructible Light is for the chain cap boost. She needs that. Advanced weaponry to finish off her TDH, and then one machine killer just to cap off her machine killer. And then the GF extension, just because she's capped on everything. So at that point, the only thing you've got left to do is just to boost your Esper stats. I gave her Chizuru's vision card, and you may be thinking, well, that's not budget. It is now, because you can buy this in the Perma VC Select shop. And I highly recommend picking up, at least one copy of this vision card for any physical damage dealer that you might have, even if you don't have Chizuru. It's a really great card for FFBE damage dealers, especially because it does come with 500 static attack to FFBE units, plus a 25% Omni Killer, plus Guts and Stop Resist. It's like, this thing is loaded. It's a really, really nice card for any physical damage dealer. So go get one in the VC Select shop, throw it on your Esther, unless, of course, your Esther is EX3, and then you can throw her card on it, obviously. So Runda here, just, basic budget gear. I did bump up his lightning and light resist, because we're going to be taking a bit longer to clear this fight than in some of the previous clears that I've shown you in my videos. And so the boss imbues itself on certain turns with lightning, and on other turns it imbues itself with light. And so to greatly reduce the damage on Runda on those turns, you want to have decent lightning and light resist. The boss does a 200% imperil to lightning and light, and so as long as you have 100% lightning resist built in, Sylvie will cover the remaining 200 with her buff. She has a 200% lightning resist buff, and then as long as you have 220 light resist, Sylvie will add an 80% light buff, so that has you covered so that Runda completely resists all the elemental damage. Now he still needs to be fairly bulky because there will be some non-elemental damage, but as you can see, Runda tank is best tank. He will handle it even with all this budget gear that I'm throwing on him. I'm not using anything too fancy here. All right. So Ling, she's just dual wielding daggers, and daggers with a lot of spirit on them, because the boss does a damage over time to the party, and I believe it is magic, a magic damage over time, and so bulking up your spirit will help reduce that incoming damage. Also just giving her lots of HP, because the boss does gravity attacks that will reduce your HP by 50%, and so that just helps having decent amount of HP, so that when you do get the damage over time, it's not going to kill you. So yeah, I also gave her another copy of Sylvie's vision card, because like I said, you can buy them in the VC shop, but if you don't have another one, don't worry about it. It's not that big of a deal. Just give her anything that kind of bulks her up. The big reason why you want to bring multiple copies of Sylvie's vision card is because of this ability, Sisterly Bonds, which does the morale gen every turn. And even if you're just doing a level 99 clear with no bonus mods, and you don't really care about the morale, it does still help to build your morale every turn, because that keeps the boss's stats from getting out of hand. Because if your morale gets too low, the boss's stats increase, you know, for every 5% or whatever. For whatever 5% below 100%, the boss's stats increase by 1%, right? And so it can make a difference. And when you're dual wielding with this card, it actually procs that ability twice, so it gives you a total of 350 morale every turn. So kind of nice, especially if you don't have a lot of Cal gear. Oh, I should say that her build is exactly the same in Brave Shift form. She does not need to be EX3. An EX1 Ling will do just fine, but she does need access to her Brave Shift form, so she does need to be at a minimum EX+1. All right, here's my Golbez, my budget boy, Golbez EX1. You notice he is wearing a Magister's Celestite Signet of Will. You know, I'm not going to assume you've got like all the Cal gear, but hopefully you've been able to clear enough now to get at least one piece of Clash of Wills gear, and that first piece should be the Magister's ring, right? Because everybody can equip accessories, and most damage dealers are going to need that chain cap boost, and so the Magister's ring is definitely the first thing you should go for. And so I put that on my Golbez because he needs that chain cap boost as well. If you don't have it, you could also use Neovision Regina's STMR. It has the same effect, but with lower mag. But that would work just fine on Golbez as well. But of course, if you haven't, you know, Neovision Regina, you might be using her anyways, although this enemy is not weak to ice. But I know Regina has a non-elemental skill in her kit too. I don't really know her that well. But yeah, so those are your options there. Otherwise, very, very budget gear. Golbez does need some help on machine killers. Luckily, he has a lot of human killer in his kit already, but he does need some help with machine killers. So we've got Valued Memories, that's Irvine's STMR. We've got Mechanic for the Royal Family, that's Cindy's STMR. And then just capping off his TDH and some extra MP for his Meteor skill. We gave him the budget card in practice session, which is Rivera's Vision card. Can also be purchased in the Perma VC Select shop. If you have Dazzling Demoness, obviously throw that on there. They are going to rerun that Dazzling Demoness banner starting on Monday. So if you want another chance at it, that's 22,000 lapis, I believe, to pick up that Vision card if you want it. But yeah, if you don't have it, just use Rivera's card. That works just fine. So I think he's sitting at 250 human, 250 machine. Yep, he's good to go. Excellent. All right. Actually, he doesn't need Grim Brilliance there, does he? That's funny. I was going to say, if you want your Golbez to do a little extra damage, and you happen to have a two-handed sword with mag on it, you know, you probably don't have the Dark Vision's sword, but if you had something like Fryevia's STMR, that would work really well in here, because Sylvie actually has a sword in peril that Golbez can take advantage of. But I'm not going to assume you have it, so I just threw on the free item world rod, the Encyclopedia of Herbs. That's a two-handed rod that we got for free from Item World last month, so hopefully you picked that one up. And here's Jessie. So she's dual wielding as well, really just to give her some extra bulk. I wanted to make sure she had plenty of HP and a little bit of spirit. You notice she's got Ling's STMR. If you don't have it, that's fine. It's not a big deal. I just threw it on there because it helps get her LB up very, very quickly. Because if, you know, with Ling's innate ability and High Tide Plus, that's 300% fill rate boost right there. But if you don't have it, like I said, it's not a big deal. We'll make sure we have her LB up whenever we need it through other means. That's just a nice way to make sure she has her LB up. Otherwise, just giving her gear that bulks her up. Make sure that she is pretty far back in the party order, because she does have some innate provoke in her kit, passive provoke in her kit. Just want to make sure that she's not provoking any of the attacks. So that's why I put her all the way at the back of the party list. Otherwise, just giving her some bulk, high class daggers for LB fill. I think she's overcapped on that. Yeah, so 400% LB fill rate, overcapped on LB fill per turn, just to make sure she has her LB up. And then just a vision card to give her some bulk. So she is literally just here for her LB. She's not going to be doing really much of anything else. And as you can see, her LB dispels, it says dispel or remove some status effects. It is a perfect dispel in that it only gets rid of the buffs and leaves all of your debuffs in place, which is very, very useful in this particular fight. So this is the team we're going to do it. Hopefully we get it done in 6 turns. Might take longer. We'll find out. Let's see how we get it done. Alright, so you see the boss puts up that 1 billion HP barrier and does that every turn. So even if you were to get rid of the barrier by attacking it and doing 1 billion damage, it'll just put up another billion next turn. It also slaps you in the face with 5,000 morale to start the battle. Pretty obnoxious, but don't worry, we're going to work our way back up to neutral. This boss thankfully doesn't do a whole lot of like morale gain every turn. It will, however, it will do morale gain every turn if you do not hit it with one of its weak elements. Those weak elements being light, lightning, or wind. So you have to hit it with its weak elements. We're going to be going lightning on this team, so we'll be hitting it with lightning pretty much every turn. But yeah, just keep that in mind. You got to hit it with the weak element in order to seal its big morale gen. Okay. So we'll start with Sylvie. She's going to do Paladin's Defense to buff everyone's defense and spirit, because we want to make sure we are well buffed to take the damage over time. Elemental Vines, that's for the magic mitigation, again, for that damage over time. And then Burgeoning Defense puts up the 85% general mit. So with all that in place, we should be taking very little damage from the damage over time. All right, Runda's going to do his LB. All right, Jessie is going to start by doing, she'll do her LB, her LB fill. And yeah, honestly, we'll just go ahead and try and fill up her LB as soon as possible. And then, because as soon as her LB's filled, she's just going to be guarding, pretty much. And yeah, so that's all she's going to do, is just use her LB when we need it. Golbez is going to come down and do his Jet Black Curse. That's going to set up the breaks so that the 88% breaks will start on turn 4, which works out perfectly because that's going to be our first burst turn. He's then going to do a Thundaja to do the lightning damage on this turn, and then Curse for the attack and mag breaks. And then Ling is going to do Blithe Step for morale fill, Moving Dance for more morale fill, and then Disarming Movements, that just does a higher attack and mag break. Okay. And all right, Esther's just going to do Energizing Bunny. You notice I'm not doing True Storm Rain. I'm going to save that for next. Actually, I'm not even going to do it next turn. I'm going to do it on turn 3. Just because I want to make sure that we have the biggest lightning in peril, and I want to make sure that carries through all of our damage turns. All right, so she'll just do Energizing Bunny, Bolting Slice, and Bolting Impact to reduce the boss's accuracy by, I think it's only 20%, but every little bit counts, because that just means a few more attacks will miss Runda. All right, there's the gravity attack, so it's like a 50% gravity. We also took some damage over time, but we had the barrier in place, and as you can see, it didn't even eat through our barriers. Esther took the most damage from the damage over time because she has the lowest spirit on the team. So, just to give you an indication there, but even then, it didn't even eat through the barrier. So we are definitely doing just fine on the incoming damage. All right, so you see some of our units have disease. That's okay. Now Sylvie's going to come in and do Elemental Petals. That's for the lightning buff on Runda, because I believe it imbues itself with lightning first, and then it will imbue itself with light later on. So Elemental Petals, Paladin's Resolve, that's just for the regen. So that's just to help sort of recoup the damage we took from the gravity attack. And then Compassionate Night, that'll get rid of all of our status ailments, get rid of any breaks, and then put up resistance to all of that stuff for us. She's just so useful. Paladin Sylvie is like such an amazing support unit. There's no reason anybody, like after this week, like there's no reason no one should have her. Because if you don't have her, you got to go get her. 28,000 lapis for a guaranteed EX+1 Sylvie. That is just too good to pass up. Esther will just do her LB. Golbez is just going to do Thundaja again, so we hit it with lightning. Alright, Ling is going to shift. Alright, we will do Blithe Step, Moving Dance for morale fill. And what is she going to do on this one? What could she do? I guess we could do Refreshing. Actually, I think she can do this twice, can't she? Yeah, let's just do that twice for more morale fill. Yeah. Just want to try and get back to, you know, you want to get back in the positive on that one. All right, so her LB is ready, so she really doesn't need to do anything at this point. If we wanted to fill up like some, we could have her do breaks and some buffs, because that does a little bit of morale gen when you do that. So I'll do that. And Runda, he will also, I tell you what, we'll have him do, because that'll also give us some morale gen for doing the buffs. And yeah, why not just hit the boss. Okay, so a lot of physical damage here. You see he's resisting it all. So she's imbued with lightning at this point. He is resisting everything. The fixed attacks, of course, are non-elemental. And so, you know, Sylvie's going to take that damage regardless. But as you can see, the damage is practically nil. So it's not really doing anything. All right, now Esther's going to imbue herself. She's going to do Quantum Storm on Ling so that Ling can chain Extreme Nova with her LB. And then Calm Before the Storm to set up for our first burst next turn. The reason why we're waiting till turn 4 is that the boss does a degrading defense and spirit buff. So the preemptive is a 100% defense and spirit buff. So those first, you know, like the first few turns, it, you know, very, very bulky. And then the next one, it does another buff on, you know, right there on turn 1, that's 50%, but the 100% will still override that until that one fades away. And so right by turn 4, the 50% buff has faded away, and there will be a 25% defense and spirit buff. And then that one disappears on turn 6, which is why we're hoping to kill on turn 6. So hopefully that makes sense to you. Sylvie is now, oh, did I do that? Yeah, so, sorry, let me just make sure I did that right. All right, True Storm Brand, Quantum Storm on Ling, and nope, not Bolting Slice. All right, Quantum Storm on Ling, and Calm Before the Storm, so that we can set up for next turn. All right, so now Sylvie is going to do, we're going to do Paladin's Offense. We're going to do our Elemental Vines one more time. Actually, no, we're saving Paladin's Offense for next turn. Sorry. We're just doing Morale Fill. So Elemental Vines, Elemental Petals, and Paladin's Resolve. All right, all of those do, each one does 350 Morale Fill for each cast. So we're just trying to, you know, get our morale back in the positive here. Okay. We're actually going to save Runda's SLB for next turn because it will fill up Jesse's LB when he does that, and we still have that one turn left on the mitigation, so we are good to go there. All right, so Runda, we'll just do cover, and then we'll do Shelga and Protectica just to make sure that we have all of our mitigations. Ling can now do Blithe Step, and we'll set up our killers. Assassin Stance does the human killer. Mechanic Stance does the machine killer. All right, so that way we're ready for next turn. Golbez, if you happen to have Magic Boost Plus, this would be the turn that you would do it. I don't, so I'm just going to do Give Your Power to Meteor for that whopping 5x mod boost. Jessie can, yeah, she can guard. All right, so we're stop resistant thanks to Paladin Sylvie, so we don't have to worry about that motionless despair that does the random single target stop. All right, so the boss currently has a bunch of buffs, as you can see, and yeah, it's got the lightning imbue on it, and it's got all these buffs here, right? And so this thing it's definitely buffed up, it's ready to go. But those defense and spirit buffs are now at the 25% level, okay? And it's actually good that it still has a little bit of defense and spirit, because we actually don't want to do too much damage here. The reason being, is if you pass the 50% threshold on this turn, but you don't kill it, it will heal itself back to full. Now, it's not the end of the world, and it only does that once. So like, if you do accidentally push the threshold, it heals itself back to full. It's fine. You just start all over again. This thing is not, it doesn't have any other like threshold attacks or anything like that. And it's very, very tame. Like, as long as you've got Runda and Paladin Sylvie, this thing is, you're never in any danger of dying. It does get an increasing attack and mag buff the further on you go, but it stops at 100% attack and mag buff, which can hurt your Runda on turns where she's dealing a lot of non-elemental damage. But you know, Runda can still handle it. So don't sweat it. All right, but the idea is we want to try not to go over 50% on this turn. All right, so here is where Avalanche Jessie finally gets to do her job. She's so excited. She's been waiting for this moment. All right, the boss has all these buffs. It's got this huge barrier on it. Let's just go ahead and get rid of it. There you go. Barrier gone. All right, and all of the buffs that were dispellable are also gone. The attack and mag, defense, spirit buffs, accuracy buffs, those are all undispellable. So there's no way to get rid of those without bringing someone like Kaito that can reduce the number of turns. All right, Runda is now going to do his SLB. That's going to finish filling up Esther and also fill up Jessie, so that she's ready on turn 6. Sylvie is now going to shift. We're going to do Paladin's Offense. We're going to do Marion's Blessing Lightning. All right, so that's going to start the lightning ramp. So this turn it'll be a 50% amp. Next turn it's 75, and then on turn 6 when we do our second burst will be the full 100% lightning amplify. Okay, and then we'll just do a little bit more morale fill with Cheerful Paladin Strike. All right, so I am hoping that we don't push the 50% threshold. And in fact, that was kind of a point that, you know, that's what I was striving for on this team. I was trying to figure out a team that would, you know, come up just shy of that 50% threshold without going over, and then we could reliably kill from there. So, you know, if your team's doing like way over the threshold, you might want to think about toning it back. Or, like I said, you just keep on going in the fight. With Paladin Sylvie and Runda maintaining all the mitigations, no one will ever be in any danger of dying, and you just get in there and you just keep throwing LBs at it and bursting. All right, so let's see how much we do on this one. We'll start Golbez. Perfect, 54%, beauty. All right. So now, looks like she's switched over to, he's resisting. Is she doing some light damage? I don't think my light buffs have worn off, have they? I'll double check. We'll check and see if she's imbued with light on this one. Could just be resisting because of all of the mitigations that he's got up. Let's see, is she imbued with light? No, yeah, so that was just so the resist is coming up purely because he's just resisting with all of the mitigations that he has. Okay, now Sylvie can do her Brave Shift LB. So an EX1 Sylvie would almost certainly have her limit burst up and ready to go by turn 5. So I don't think it's a stretch to say that yeah, that this is feasible for you know, as a budget team. It's kind of nice to be able to say that Paladin Sylvie is now, you know, technically she's a budget unit now. I mean, 28,000 lapis for an EX1 Sylvie. That's pretty awesome. I keep saying that, and I'm gonna keep saying it because it's just I am flabbergasted. Like when Sylvie's banner first came out, I dropped 48,000 lapis on her, didn't pull a single Sylvie all the way. I went all the way to pity for my one Sylvie, and it has taken me a long time to get her to EX3. Like I just got her EX3 like the last when they did those 300 frags. So like I will never stop saying go get your Paladin Sylvie until Gumi comes out with another unit that is as good of a support unit. I will never stop saying go get a Paladin Sylvie. Like any opportunity, go do it. Sorry, I'm gonna just keep saying that. I'm gonna keep saying it. I'll never stop saying it. All right. Now we're just gonna re-up our buffs: Mechanic stance and Assassin stance. Golbez is gonna need to set up again. We're gonna go ahead and do Jet Black Curse. I mean, we're definitely gonna kill next turn, but it's always good, just a good habit of practice. To anytime Jet Black Curse comes up in a longer fight, you know, if you're doing a longer fight, anytime that comes up, go ahead and set it up. That just maintains the 88% breaks indefinitely. So yeah, just always do that. And then we'll do, no, we won't do Curse. We'll do Give Your Powers to Meteor and Osmos to refill his MP. So yeah, Sylvie can go ahead and do that. All right, Avalanche Jessie, yeah, her LB is already up and running. All she really has to do is we'll do bursting, or no, full breakdown, sorry. That does the higher attack and mag breaks. We'll do Ace in the Hole, because I believe it does a 25% accuracy reduction. Yeah, so again, that's just to help Runda make sure, you know, every missed hit is a good, you know, it's good to have. And then she can really do anything else we want to do here. We'll just do Faith, why not? Little morale gen for the buff, I guess. And then Runda, we'll have him do Cover, Shelga, Protectica. All right, Esther's gonna hit it with Lightning, so yep, we're all good to go there. Runda, and then yeah, we got our buffs. Perfect. So you can see we're not like crushing it on the morale, but you know, we've slowly worked our way up to what, 137? You know, that's pretty good, because as long as you're hitting the boss with the weakness, it does not generate a whole lot of morale on its own. So the morale gen on the boss side is very, very low on this fight. So yeah, very, very easy to work your morale up. All right, so we now have the 100% lightning amp thanks to Sylvie. Sylvie's actually going to contribute some damage on this one. Triple clever paladin strike. Runda is even going to get in on the action here. All right, triple Runda laser. Esther will LB. Ling will do chain lightning. Jessie will, of course, do what she was born to do. Get rid of that barrier. Yeah. All right, so at this point, the boss should have no defense and spirit buffs. All right, it should literally have nothing. It's got the attack mag buffs, that's fine. We don't care about that. No defense and spirit buffs, so this is as weak as it will get. All right, and yeah, this should definitely kill it without issue. We should easily do over 1 billion. This thing has 1.8 billion HP. We did 800 billion on the first burst. We're going to easily do over 1 billion on this one to finish it off. All right, so let's see how we get this one done. And let them ramp up the chain. Oh yeah. Yeah, that was overkill. Overkill. Yeah, 1.4. Too easy. Yep. So even if your EX0 Esther isn't as strong, or your Golbez isn't as strong, you know, still I think a very doable team and strategy here to get you guys through this. Let's see how the damage shakes out. Yeah, wow, Esther actually did very, very well. I thought Golbez was going to be a little bit closer to Esther on that one, to be honest. It is an EX1 Golbez in a budget build, but yeah, still Esther came through on that one. EX0 Esther still got it, thanks to Paladin Sylvie, of course. But definitely the MVP was Avalanche Jessie for that basically on-demand barrier removal on her LB. I mean, it's so easy to get it up that, it's basically on demand. Very, very nice, cheap way to get rid of that barrier when you need to. Ling, fantastic with the killers. And then Runda tank is best tank. And then my girls, Sylvie and Esther. Man, I love using them. So they have taken me a long, long way. They've taken me everywhere. Love those two. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll say it one more time. Go get your Paladin Sylvie if you don't have one already. Go, find 28,000 lapis somewhere in the story or something, and get yourself an EX+1 Paladin Sylvie. She will still be around. I guarantee you this time next year, people will still probably be using Paladin Sylvie on Earth teams and Lightning teams, just saying. She's going to be around for a long time. Supports always last longer than damage dealers. So go get your Sylvie. Go get your Sylvie. Thank you guys so much for listening to me and dealing with my soapbox talks on support units and whatnot. And stay tuned. I will start working on my rank 1 clear. Hopefully get that out to you guys tomorrow or the day after. And I will see you on the other side.